show. I forget which one this is going to be. Is that one? It's that one, apparently. I have to look at that particular one. We're having oranges. So this is something I wanted to talk about. It's the oranges, you know. So there's that. I'm going to check that. I should have checked that. Anyways. This is how quantum phenomenon could relate to the given type of dark energy and dark matter that we perceive to be there. In relation to plasma physics, yeah. It's, I was watching Allie, or whatever her name is, or something on YouTube. She's a theoretical particle physicist, which is cool. But it's like, oh, right, yeah, no. I was thinking about, like, the Oort cloud and how many different, like, large comets there are. Then the amount of different like plasmas that there are, and then the amount of different like quantum foam areas, how they'd pop up, and then ultimately with a given, size and distance here that we're talking about in terms of space, how likely it is that the given electromagnetic and electrostatic forces are to ultimately increase the degree of how long they stick around, and when they'll probably pop down as a quantum kind of superpositional-esque kind of phenomenon. Then we're not even really finished, because then we have the amount of neutrons that like to bump, kind of get slowly gravitationally and all the rest of it interfered with. And then I was like, oh yeah, no, there's light involved. If you don't know about that, and it's like there's a fuck ton. Like we don't think about it, but it's like they're relatively very small amounts of matter, right? Like just tremendous amounts of comets and asteroids just everywhere. I'm like, well, not that small amounts, man. We have huge magnetic filaments that just run through. Those are like Wi-Fi hotspots, not to mention the plasma that's there that increases current and electromagnetic and electrostatic forces and how fucking hard they ultimately interact. Then when we add in light, because that's of course a drainage to that electromagnetic force, as light then of course, because gravity is attracted to some direction, happens to still continue compressing itself, a blue shift, right? But it's like, yeah, no, but it's not. Because, like, it's going to effectively interfere and then create a larger amount in one direction versus another. The opposite of its travel, which is a pressure differential. It's light pressure. We talk about that being a part of the Oort cloud direction. But then people don't ever really think about it on a larger scale. And then I'm like, well, there's a lot of light there. It's just not getting reflected back towards you. So only the angle of like the light heading towards you is really what you end up noticing. But that doesn't change in any aspect or way the amount of different like light pressures that are there, not just with electromagnetism and electrostatic, but also all the comets and asteroids and the quantum phenomenon known as quantum foam, along with all the neutrons that are there. And you end up adding them all together. And it's like, well, how much are there? Right? We already know that. It's like, hey, our previous understanding of like the universe, when they were all like, man, that's not really a lot, stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no, but you were wrong. The Big Bang had fucking obvious black holes. You should have shut up. You didn't know. Look at you. You're so smart over there. With me with my PhD. And I'm like, well, I didn't have it. The fucking shut up, man. I'm like, dead person, you're arguing with me. Fuck you too. What I mean, right? It's like whatever. Anyways, point is, but that's the case, right? It's like no matter what, they didn't have that information. So we had black holes that must have formed and before light did, effectively. Which really dramatically changes how it is that we're viewing the Big Bang, right? So it's like, as that happens to occur, and then we have little primordial black holes that are, of course, going to be in these larger stars than we would have normally have thought. I did a whole video on that with Dr. Becky. I made a comment. Doesn't matter. I added her a bunch of times. It doesn't matter. Nobody ever watches me, so really, not expecting this to go anywhere. But if you did stumble upon this, there you go, right? Here's a way to solve for the light issue for the dark energy, dark matter. It's like, no, we did all of these different little things. I'm like, no, you didn't. You barely had quantum physics back then. You don't even know the quantum phenomenon that we do now. You even know how it is that we create these little itty-bitty ghostly particles that say, oh no, we don't have mass. No, there's no mass for these magnetons and electrotons. Any of the tons. I don't really care about the tons. You know what I mean? Like, they're fucking in and out gone so fast. But it's like, yeah, no, but they're inflatons too. Oh yeah, are they inflatons? They're just inflatons for the vacuum pressures. That's what they're going to become. You know, just as I'm looking over there, like, fuck you. Yeah. Yeah, they inflate. We gotta get all the tons over here as they're around. They interact with the light tons. There's just so many tons, just tons and tons. Oh yeah, the light, they're not photons, no, they're light tons now, because we have different, it's the whole category of the light. We have this photon type, we have that photon type, we have this wavelength photon type, we have this type of electromagnetic photon type, which has a different polarizational effect thanks to the given type of wave frequency, and superpositional polarization alongside of whether or not it happened to be created near this type of electromagnetic field versus this electrostatic field versus this and blah, 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 blah. It all gets boring when you fucking start cooling things down and you spread it out and you turn it into plasma, which is the whole reason why I started this video. Because I was watching the plasma pulsar thing of the alley. I fucking forgot what her name is. It's over there on the big screen. So anyways, I'm not going to point the camera that way. Why would I? Anyways, yeah, but that's light tons versus like all of these different photons, and it's like no, it's a category. You gotta specify what specific category in the light ton category you want. Fucking dummy. This is the ghostly fucking possibly, particle that's attached to this photon as it moves. Theoretical bullshit over here. And I'm like, it's not bullshit. We've discovered these things. That's fair. But meanwhile, no, there's no way that that's going to be a part of all of our given, not in any way calculated for amounts of mass and energy of the dark variety. Somehow. Look at me. Dark variety didn't matter over here. I do calculations. They're so great, but it's like, whatever, who cares? Because that's what that is. I'm like, yeah, no, but we don't know because you don't have averages or constants. You don't know what influences that over a given amount of distance and size. That's the point. The point is, it's like, no, this could be a genuine, like, it was so easy to know what it was, it turns out. We just needed to do better about thinking about more of the things and how they still have to exist throughout the entirety of the world and the universe and all the rest. It's like get out the infotons, you know what I mean? The fucking information decoherence as it fucking has to intrapedically move everything around. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I call them, they're just infotons, because like that's a whole category of different information intrapedic values as it happens to resistively and also non-resistively intrapedically make things move more and more ordered, right? But of course that means it starts bunching things up, and what do you know? You got this gravity and produces a gravitational field of infotons. So anyways, that's what that is, because that's literally what that is. Even if people don't like that idea, never really gave a shit about it. It was like, I do, but it's like I also don't, because it's like, look at these, I'm big brain and I've got this, fucking certificate after I paid a lot of money and I did a lot of like writing on a paper and I defended it with all of my money that I had and opportunity and ability to learn this way versus other people that exist. And I'm so much better and smarter with my gatekeeping ass versus this person. They could never learn from you. I'm like, what? Why? You can learn from anyone. It doesn't matter. What happened to your open-mindedness? Anyways, doesn't matter. Point is, We calculate for all that. I would assume so. I don't know, actually. Meanwhile, my ass, you would assume so, you don't know, huh? That's interesting. Let's take a look at that assumption. You didn't. Because it's too varied. I could honestly fit that into those calculations, and it's like, oh, it turns out, as we're very close to a star that happens to do some sort of a field effect, that reduces the amount that we see on our Earth. So we broaden that a little bit bigger, and we go, oh yes, it turns out it would fit. It would fit within our calculations already. It solves all dark matter and dark energy problems. That's right. It could literally do that. But then I'm just writing in the numbers right. Right? And it's like, same with you. You don't know. All you have is Voyager. You know that problem? I'm like, no, we see this light. Okay. There are how many possibilities that ultimately interact with that light as it heads towards us? You know, I was looking at the Kuiper belt, or Kuiper belt, or whatever it is, and I was thinking about the Oort cloud, and I was like, oh, it has these weird, like, kind of cool, you know, like a, what is that, a clover or some shit? You know, inside of the bigger, you know, sort of ball, I guess, right? And it's like, yeah, by the way, does that not ultimately interact and create like a big bunch of, almost like, just hear me out here, electron orbits perhaps? And then it'll interact kind of in a clumpy, messy manner. You know, of course we have gravity and whatnot, so yeah, there's a little difference there. With other stars, galaxies, you know what I mean? Huh? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it a little? You know what I mean? And then it's like light comes in, it's gonna, we got the little movement of the Oort cloud, is it a blue shift or red shift of any of the photons coming in? Not to mention, we end up getting it ultimately interacting as it gets closer and closer to our star more and more often in a multitude of many-dimensional directional manners. Right? So it's like, it's like, it just happened to fucking thread that needle. But that's how light works. You know, that's the gapping, the quantum interference gapping, so to speak, for the wavelength duality particle kind of thing that it is. So it's like, no, it's definite. And then it's like, oh yes, no, the gravity of the influence here is getting bigger. And so that means the space is getting blue shifted no matter what. No. I mean, a little. Shut up, you. How come that's not in any of your calculations? How come, you know, those little bunchy, like little springies, a little movement of these massive, weird comets that have polarizing kind of like, you know, magnetic structures along with ionic fields and magnetics that are there that will pulse and move around and create energies in their own right. Not to mention flows and filaments of magnetic fields, of course. It's like, I see what you're doing. And it's like, oh, you see what I'm doing, huh? So it could be possible? You fuck up? Look at you, idiot. Fucking retard. I see what you're doing. You're trying to get us to think that there might be some validity to this. Yeah. That's the whole point of the video, you fucking retard. How stupid are you? Oh, he's trying to get us to think differently and maybe consider the following. Just imagine it, consider the following right there. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, okay, sure, yeah, no. But why would that? And it's like, no, you don't understand the scale. Like, if that Oort cloud intersects with any other Oort clouds, or there's an Oort cloud kind of around a given galaxy, which, by the way, there has to be a massive amount of these things that exist, because, of course, it started from the birth of our universe, having these heavier elements and these clumps of asteroids and comets and more from the start. And now, granted, we are talking about it got more and more and more dirty, right? We're in the third generation. Or, no, I'm sorry, first generation, right? We're in the first generation, whichever one it is. Because it's such a weird, I'm pretty sure it's first. But it's such a weird way to do that. It's like, it's the third generation going backwards at the beginning. It's number 3. What? How does that work? I don't know why they named it this, but it doesn't make sense. But okay, it's whatever which one it is. I'll call it that. Fucking whatever. Right? Yeah, but it's like, okay, so then we have like these far larger amounts than, and we have the telescope proof instead of like, it's conjecture! It's just circumstantial evidence. I reject this! Not sustained. Get the fuck out of here, stupid lawyer. Kick. Boop. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear from you anymore. Get the fuck out. So it's like, okay, we already have the proof. The evidence is already there. We already know that the James Webb Telescope has like a very high likelihood chance of having discovered a massive, supermassive black hole. And it's not just the one. It's going to be many of them. Like, if you look at that, it's like, okay, even if it's a chance, all right, scale, dummy. So you're looking at this big monster, and it's like, no, there's a tiny, and it zooms, flying through the 3D, and then you got this little tiny spot. And this is what we're looking at, you know what I mean? Versus like big, huge, actual universe. I mean, you look at that, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, there's no way there's not one. It's for sure there. There's going to be so many of them. Then you're just going to work out the calculations of statistical analysis of how likely it would have been to create during a dense moment and given tunnel effects a hyper-dense ultimate matter formation that created a singularity before light began, which is very likely in the beginning of a Big Bang. But we're like, no! I don't like this! I'm like, I don't give a fuck what you like, bitch. Smack. Deal with it. You have to deal with reality as it is. Deal with it. Fact of the matter is, it's very likely. So there's no way there isn't a bunch of them. Fact of the matter is, what you saw has multiple more than just like, oh, there's a black hole, or oh, maybe this. And it's like what I wrote in that comment, it's like, well, no, you likely had very heavy elements. You likely had primordial black holes that started and formed around stars that were, technically speaking, at first just nebulous. You know what I mean? They just drew them in, right? And then they're like, I'm a star now, I guess I'll just star my way over here. Just do star things. But it's also the same thing where it's like, yeah, no, it's not going to wrap itself around in a concentric circle kind of thing. That doesn't work now. You know what I mean? When it gets that kind of close, it's going to have no time to have done that. As a result of having that occur, that makes it so that there's a very weird amount of odd eccentric-like orbits and gas moving. Right? You look at the tail, it's like, oh yeah, no, that's a torsional. You know what I mean? That's tidal forces. Like, you look at that, it's like, oh, and whoosh. That's the tail that they were talking about with the whole, like, no, I know it's seen the dog and that van. Yeah. I've never saw your comment. Yeah, I know. Fuck off. Like, I don't care, but at the same time, it's still that thing where it's like, yeah, no, I mean, nobody takes me seriously because, like, gatekeeping. Don't look at that. And you don't know what you're saying. You know what I mean? That's you. It's true. Apparently, it's a genius thing. Meanwhile, there's some validity to what he's saying. I wrote it down. I put it on a wall. I Charlie Dayed it. fucking multiple fucking things. It's like, behold, the quantum physicists, the theoretical physicists, and the astrophysicists all working together here. You know, like we gotta get multiple fucking things together. How would this work? We're gonna play with numbers and the amount of quantum foam increase or decrease in the amount of mass that you might see with the energy that's there. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it would work. That's the problem. The mass will check out. You can make it work. That's the problem that I'm going to end up having with a lot of people that are not well versed in astrophysics or quantum physics. We don't know is the real truth, right? We don't know. Behold. We go, well, our consistent values around this localized area and this genuine special relativity that we are going to throw out that happens to most likely and definitely alter what it is we're going to view is as quantum phenomenon. We have a gravitational, we have an electromagnetic, we have electrostatic, we have a bunch of different forces here that are very weirdly localized. Except they're not. It's only weird because if you scale it to the universe, well, it's pretty odd. It's not the average in any aspect or way, right? So we have to go, best guesses here when we're out here in the fucking big old unknown. You know, we're just huge space thing. Did we see a change? It's like low Earth orbit. What changes? What fucking changed? Look at that Voyager, like, buddy, give us some answers. Please tell us, Voyager. They walk off camera. Please let me know, Voyager, let me. There's a little Voyager in between my hands here. It says, Voyager, please give us so many answers that we literally never built you for. Oh gosh. But it's like, no, we could do that. We could set up, we could reprogram it so it's like, because it's the electromagnetic, right? And it's like, as it passes the field through, like, that'll give us a different view of this noise data, of like what could possibly be there for both light, quantum foam, neutron density, and more. It also alters the electromagnetic field as it's run through the plate for the, I think that was the one that filmed Neptune or something, right? You know, whichever one it was. Because it's like, that's what that would be. That would allow for us to ultimately do that. If we could send the signal, we could send a reprogramming signal, we might just get something with that. Which would be amazing. You know, it's like, send a signal, we got the little antenna, it propagates towards us, and there's diffusion, we do a bunch of calculations. It's like, this is the angle of incidence. We need it fucking from this point, and then there's a higher devil range. Or cloud fucking moment. They're getting into the Kiefer field. It's like, okay. And it's all just to go like, yes, so this is probably different. Right? It's a small amount of difference. That's all we're looking for. That's literally it. That's all we got, you know? Because, like, we haven't sent anything that way in a long time. So, that'd be nice if we could just, boop, here's a fucking ginormous telescope, a couple of them. They got a bunch of laser phaser arrays just fucking aiming at us. Yeah, like they're spread out. They're just like boom, 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 pulse. Interfere yourself the correct way with this big, ginormously long, spooled out fucking antenna. It's massive. And we'll just pulse electricity through it so it, like, you know, it does the old tube TV thing where it like angles it back in towards us with the multiple like little interference pathways, and then, you know, like focus into like the little. Meanwhile, I'm looking at the size of our Earth. It's like just goes right past. It's a huge diffusal. You know, it's just it comes in and this little thing, and it's like, huge, massive, bigger than our Earth. But at least we can detect it. That'd be great, you know. We could do it. We have the technology and telescope and sensor arrays. We could make it radio wave, phasing, laserings. We could do it. It'd be fun. Granted, we also need to send several... No, we have the technology. We have MIRVs. We can send multiple on one big boy giant vacuum airship that we yeet really fast up into our upper atmosphere, and we get it in an orbit, and then we go attach another one, and it's a bigger fucking amount of them now, and we get another one, and we get just fucking go for it. We're getting out the fusion, which isn't really likely to be the case unless we got particle acceleration with like a bunch of like reactor technology. That would be really nice. But whatever. Instead, we're going to get out the ionic plasma. This one's very negative. This one's very positive. We're going to fucking try and force them together like I've been talking about on my YouTube channel. Anyways, Xeno Reality, of course, I'm posting this there eventually. Anyways, then it's going to go send off because this is raw. I'm not even going to fucking do it. I'm never that guy. I'm just never going to do it because I can't edit and I'm not going to fucking... I'm just not. I'm disabled as fuck. I literally can't get myself to sit down and even try to stop. So anyways, you know what I mean? Just like fucking fire it forward. It'd be fucking awesome, but it's also like, yes. What? No, we have to pass by Jupiter a few times. We need to get like constant larger amounts because no, it's a vacuum bag effectively, right? So it's going to expand. We're going to gather ourselves some more hydrogen and heliums. We're going to really rocket it forward, man. We're going to fucking swing on by. We're going to use the star we orbit to go whoosh, way faster, further, you know what I mean? As we fall in, but it's like, no, gravitational turn, bitch. You thought. Anyways, that's a big gravity turn. But it's like, no, that's great because then I can use that with its electromagnetic field and the amount of heat that is there to generate a lot more plasma, which is great because then I don't have to store it at the same kind of rate. Then I can compress that, plasma using plasma physics of compression. Anyways, point is, I get more and I cool it off, from the fucking, what is that thing, the Jupiter or whatever. Anyways, I get Jupiter's like a little gas and I get that thing and then, I do it a couple of times. I get a really big hot plasma thing, you know what I mean? And then it's like, just going for it. Meanwhile, look at my big telescope array. I'm so fucking strong. Boom. Shabam. Look how massive it is. There's very small tank relative to like everything. So I'm just gonna attach them to each other. Then you get like the like little cables, for electromagnetic activity in between. Forward, middle, rear. Right, and that helps with the phasing, by the way. But then we end up getting like the different thing of like, oh, guess what? I can slide origami style. This lensing and sensor array for detecting many things. It's also going to cool some stuff, which would be nice. It's like, we shall try and do our best to order the electromagnetic fields by pulsing and some light forward. Just... And then it's like, yes, orientate yourselves. Do the lensing and coherenting. No, I don't think we'll get coherenting. It's more about less interference, hopefully. We make a cone that comes in. Hopefully it's better. You gotta test the thing. Probably in low Earth orbit because it's fucking expensive. Damn it. How expensive is it going to be? Well, a vacuum airship is actually kind of cheap, truthfully. It's really, and the same thing with the plasma thing. It's really building all the things and then testing and all that, which you would want to do no matter what. So, that's what that is. But anyways, I don't know, maybe 150 to 500 billion dollars. So, with a B. Yeah, the big old B word, yeah. Anyways. It would still be worth it, because then we'd have a massive, huge telescope that we would have yeeted outside of our, Kuiper belt, whatever it is, and managed to, make it a much larger telescope than we have on Earth. That can detect far more changes and do way more. on that, and eventually we'll just go like, over that way. Nah, just keep going that way. Just look further. Just aim further ahead. Fuck off. I'm not turning these. Are you insane? These can't turn. That's not happening. No, get out of here. If there's a possibility, sure. Meanwhile, remember that, like, the light interference stuff that I was talking about with the electromagnetics? Yeah. That's to, like, get rid of micrometeorites and, like, kind of create a bit of a bubble that's, like, to try and capture them, and as they come closer, it's like, oh, this is a ground area. And also, zap! Zap! Fucking die! Go away! Yeah, no, I'm screaming for a good reason. Die! Die, micrometeorites! Die! Be obliterated, please! You fuckers! Zap, 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 zap! We can hit fish's eyes and kill tiny, little, itty bitty, tiny parasites inside of them. Underwater with lasers. I can hit a fucking micrometeorite. I can do this. It's doable. Let's get our fucking America fuck yeah knowledge about killing others with lasers and shit going. We're gonna make it work. Yeah! You know what I mean? We're gonna do it. And it's like, alright, so we're gonna detect to see how much of a change of incidence over a given period of time. That's all we're going for. And we're also gonna aim this towards Sirius B, because that's probably the best thing. Whatever the closest star is, that's probably the best thing we should do. It's like, it's possible that we can have it given enough over time here, because it's still going to take a while to travel. It's light speed, no matter what. But, like, what we're talking about is we do have the ability to possibly, even though we're going to lose our bandwidth and everything, but, you know, of course, as that gets bigger, we can always get other satellites in other areas, like the moon, Mars, Jupiter, and more, that could possibly help detect and have multiple areas of detection. So we might still be able to sense this fucker all the way over towards the star that's closest to us, which is great. You know, we're going to try our best to get it as good as possible at being able to angle towards us with how light propagates and how it interferes, and ultimately what we can do with that. Now, it's also one of these things where, remember that vacuum airship? Well, that's extra space, right? Like, we don't need to worry about the vacuum once it's in space, because it's space. So it has to move into that area, and then that's a space for it to effectively create a kind of like a terrarium. A good way to put that is, it's going to have air, it's going to work, it's going to create electricity. Now, it's going to run off of reactors. Right, we have reactors, but it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. They'll die much sooner. We want to collect this as much solar as we can, but of course, you know, right? There's only so much we can do, right? So it's like, if we get piezoelectrics involved, we get the electrostatic sensing, which is like, yeah, we have to amplify that, right? But it's like, what if we only needed to condition the light as it passes through us, and then order it in the right pulsing? Instead of needing to do a digital, we can do an analog and digital. It's still digital, but it's an analog version of making it more, what's a good way to put it? You know, digital for the binary that we use, right? But it also means it can just pass through, and that's also collections of both light, electromagnetic interference of any kind, even electrostatic, that could be electricity for us, along with concentrating it into the various terrariums that are there, which can act in their own way as a helpful continuation of our reactors, because then that means we can make the reactor both in multiple parts, and we can activate them over time, because we don't need as much electricity. And so for the given package, the size that we're talking about here, we can shrink it down and we can stack them, which is great. The leftover radioactivity can then get eaten by stuff from like Russia for the mushrooms and whatnot, and that's extra energy, as that can be eventually turned into a increase of duration of the experiment, is what we're talking about, right? And that's a big thing. Like, that would make it so that way we might actually get it. I'm 32, I might be 92, And hey, guess what? If we were to get it done in like 5 fucking years somehow, it would have run well past that. We could still get hundreds of years, which would be amazing. We might see some really cool stuff. Maybe. It's a big maybe. You know what I mean? It's like, what's that? I mean, we're going to see some amazing shit. Like, I'm just going to be direct. But it's like, how much is it going to change our understanding of, quantumly speaking, what is going on with dark matter and dark energy? And how much really are we not seeing as gravity as an influence for those smaller bodies and electromagnetism with light? It sucks it in, right? This is how I view it, because things are spinning and then they interfere. And as they come in, that creates angles of incidence and interference, compresses it, and then, of course, sends it out and it elongates it. Right? We get the red shift, we get the blue shift in the direction, we get the red shift as well. What that means is more light's going on one side versus another. More light, luminosity, is trailing away from us than towards where we're heading. That's the point. Like, that creates a given directionality to the light and travel and the light pressure we see, which can dramatically possibly change our understanding of dark matter and dark energy and its propagation. We still might get these really cool electromagnetic pulses that travel throughout all of that as they snap off, kind of like what we see with our star, as they create these huge bunches of electromagnetic fields that then break off and then they travel, right? Kind of the same thing. So, but on a much, much larger scale in the cosmic web. As we see this dark matter, dark energy exist there, so it must be doing something with that. Even if it is not that, it might massively reduce what we view it as in terms of the overall energy that is really there that we can account for, which would be amazing. It would really reduce what we believe is going on and help us really more accurately and better understand ourselves and the universe. So we're going to see a lot more. We'll see a lot. We just got to get done. That's the whole point I made this video for. Because it's like, pulsar distances, one weird trick. And I'm like, yes, one weird trick to determine whether or not we have dark matter and dark energy at all. It's called doing the work. It's so weird. I've never heard of it. Progress over time. I've never tried that. Anyways, see you later.